Welcome back to the terribly named OK Not OK podcast, and today I will be making my WrestleMania 41 predictions. So let's get to it. I'm the SportsZu, and the doc asked me to switch our days here this week because he needs a little bit more time for the question of the week. Well, here's what we're going to do for the predictions. We're going to assume that both nights of WrestleMania have exactly 7 matches to them, and we're going to try to order them in the right prediction, making the complete card on day 1, then the complete card on day 2. So hopefully that will work out, and we'll try to give a little bit of an explanation for each one of these picks. So let's get started with Saturday night, night 1 of WrestleMania. And the opening match of all WrestleMania will be for the Intercontinental Championship between the still champion Braun Breaker taking on John Cena in his final match at WrestleMania. Well, what do we need to know about Cena here? He already told us that 2025 will be his final year, and he said he wants to be in the Royal Rumble, and he wants to be in the Elimination Chamber. So if he's in the chamber, that means we know he's losing the Royal Rumble, so he's not going to get a championship match out of that. And if he's in the Elimination Chamber, maybe he'll become champion on that night, or maybe he'll be the #1 contender for the other heavyweight championship. But what we're going to say is that both Royal Rumble winners are going to be from Monday Night Raw, and Cena will also be on Monday Night Raw because he says he wants to be on Netflix. So we know Raw will be on Netflix starting in January. So we're going to assume he's going to mingle with the Raw superstars, and so we'll say that Raw will have the Elimination Chamber match for the men, and it will be for the Intercontinental Championship. So Cena's going to start looking at that championship and say, I still need to win this championship to be a Grand Slam champion. So he's going to get into that match, and it will be for the IC title, but Cena will be #1 for that match, and Braun Breaker will be in the match. He's going to retain, and he'll be in a pod, and he will not even enter until after Cena is eliminated. So once Breaker retains, Cena loses, he's going to challenge Breaker at WrestleMania for the IC Championship. Breaker will accept, and that is how we get our opening match. All right, match number 2 will be for the Women's Tag Team Championships. It will be a fatal 4-way or an 8-woman tag match with 4 different teams on it. Your champions going into WrestleMania will be Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. They're actually going to get the job done. I don't know if it will be through the route they're currently on or if it will happen later, but they're actually going to have these titles at some point and keep them all the way up until WrestleMania. Their opponents will be from Damage Control, Kairi Sane and Dakota Kai, as Io will have something else to do. And then from SmackDown, Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, and the brand new form team of Bayley and Naomi, because they're not going to find their way into another feud or into the WWE Women's Championship match. So it's a nice place to put both of them here. All right, let's go to match number 3. It will be a triple threat match for the #1 contender to the World Heavyweight Championship. Well, after WrestleMania 40, the Raw After had a fatal 4-way match to determine the new #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. But we're just going to take that off of the table for the Raw After, and we're just going to do it at WrestleMania because we have some very important people that otherwise do not have matches. So this triple threat match will be between Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, and Gunther. So that tells you that none of these men will be the champion, in my opinion here, but obviously they need a good match to be on this card. So having them fight for this prize is a good way to have them all go up against each other, and we know they have fought each other in the past, so it's nothing new, just a little bit of a wrinkle with the triple threat match. Next, we will have the first of the Bloodline matches. So the new Bloodline of Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa and Jacob Fatu, who will no longer have tag team championships, will go up against the Usos, Jimmy and Jay, with Jimmy now back on Jay's side, and Sami Zayn, who has come back around to being on the old bloodline side, I guess. So how this is going to happen, well, we saw that Jay and Sami are going to go for the World Tag Team Championships, and Tonga and Fatu are already the WWE Tag Team Champions. So what's going to happen here? Sami and Jay are going to win on the Raw side, but somewhere along the line, the new bloodline will come to Raw and make them lose the championships. So then the old bloodline is going to come over to SmackDown and interfere and make sure that they then lose their championships. And of course, that will just kick things off to be even bigger feud, culminating at WrestleMania with this 6-man match. All right, our next match, we've got a biggie here. This is going to be the Wyatt Six versus the Judgment Day. In full, 5-on-5, with the women included. I just couldn't find another way to get Liv Morgan on the card, admittedly. So we're going to have Abby and Liv partake in this match as full-fledged combatants. So why not? I think it'll be a great way to do it. The Wyatt Six, they're going to be done with American Made, and they'll have plenty of other people they can go after, but number one on that list will absolutely be the Judgment Day for what they did to Rhea and Priest. So it makes sense that eventually they will come after that new version of the Judgment Day. All right, so speaking of Rhea, here she is. She is now the world champion on the women's side. So she is going to beat Liv somewhere along the line, probably at Bad Blood, I'm going to guess, and she'll keep that title all the way until WrestleMania. And she will face the winner of the Royal Rumble, which we will say will be Io Sky. Now, it's a little tricky because it certainly looks like Damage Control is switching to the good side of the ledger when in their fight against Sonya, Zoe, and Shayna. Well, I think this is one that doesn't matter that much if you're a good guy or a bad guy, so I think this is fine. These are just the two best wrestlers on Monday Night Raw. And this is going to go to say that I'm anticipating that Becky Lynch does not return in time for WrestleMania. That's certainly a little controversial, but we're just gonna have to go with it. I didn't find a good match for Becky to be in. Otherwise, she's already fought Rhea a whole bunch of times. She already fought Liv a whole bunch of times. So a nice new matchup against Io, I guess, but I don't know. I'm just gonna leave her off of the card for now. And then that takes us to our main event for night one. It will be your World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins, against your Royal Rumble winner, CM Punk. So those are the two big headlines. How did we get that to happen? Well, obviously, I think this was the match we were supposed to happen at WrestleMania 39. There may be something in CM Punk's contract saying that he has to main event a WrestleMania. So I have a good feeling that these two guys are going to find a way to not really interact with each other, such as what we just saw on Monday Night Raw, where Punk rolled out of the ring and went after McIntyre just as soon as Rollins was about to try to beat him up. And so they're gonna hold off on their battle for quite a while, and Netflix is getting Raw, as we said. They want something huge to happen on their very first show. So here we have Seth Rollins defeating Gunther in the main event of the very first night on Netflix. So with that, let's go to night two. In our opening match, we're going to have a 6-man ladder match for the United States Championship. And LA Knight is not going to have some long reign like we just had out of Logan Paul or out of Gunther on the Intercontinental side. So he's going to lose that title maybe on the first night of the new year on SmackDown perhaps, but that means he's going to get beaten by a bad guy, and one who really deserves a win on that side is Santos Escobar. Legado del Fantasma will do their normal stuff and he'll find a way to beat LA Knight. But there will be a lot of people who deserve to be on the WrestleMania card on the SmackDown side, but we know the Bloodline's going to fill up a bunch of their spots, so we're going to have to put them all together here. So we've got Escobar defending the title against AJ Styles, Andrade, Logan Paul, LA Knight, and even Carmelo Hayes. So if Doc were doing this, he wouldn't believe that I put Carmelo Hayes onto this list, but I'm sure he'll get some wins, Doc. It'll be fine. So there you have it. That's our 6-man ladder match to open night 2. All right, going on to the second match, we're going to have a 6-man tag for the World Tag Team Championships, and the champions going into WrestleMania will be the Authors of Pain. Yeah, somehow Karrion Kross, Scarlett, and Ellering are going to find a way to get them to win the titles, and I think a good way to do that is by having the new Bloodline come and help them take out the current champions of Sami Zayn and Jey Uso. So the Authors of Pain will just happen to be in the right place at the right time to win those championships. Then Chad Gable's just had too good of a year to be left off of the WrestleMania card. He will have to be somewhere here, so the only place I could find a spot for him right now is for the Tag Team Championships. So he's obviously with the Creed brothers right now. We only had to pick one out of the 2 Creed brothers. For now, we're saying Brutus, and the third team will be Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee of the LWO. But since the other 2 teams happen to be on the heel side of things, just like last year before WrestleMania, both AOP and American Made are going to start to pick off the members of the LWO, and the week right before WrestleMania, they will finally take out Dragon Lee, and Rey will be beside himself yet again without being able to challenge for the Tag Team Championships, but his Wingstop buddy, as we saw on all of those SummerSlam commercials, will be Braun Strowman coming to his rescue. And that's a pretty nice partner to have. We've seen Strowman win the tag team titles by himself or with just a kid in the past. So we need somewhere to put him on the card for WrestleMania, having this contrast of the biggest man on the roster against the smallest man on the roster in Mysterio and Strowman really will be a lot of fun, and they can challenge these 2 other hated teams. All right, next, it's the blow-up that you've been waiting to see. It will be Bianca Belair versus Jade Cargill. Well, they're going to somehow find a way to lose the Tag Team Championships yet again in their next chance against whoever it may be, and that will finally cause things to start to break down, and that will culminate with this WrestleMania match. So we really want to see it. I think in many years this could possibly be a main event on perhaps night 1 of WrestleMania, but we just have too much going on in this particular year, but we're not gonna hold off on this blow up. So Jade and Bianca, looking forward to that match. Next, we will have the WWE Tag Team Championships, and it will be an 8-man tag match with 4 teams in them. So pretty basic here. We're going to have Pretty Deadly, DIY, and the Street Profits challenging the champions, which will be RKO of Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. And of course, this will also have the tie-ins to the Bloodline storyline as well. As we know, Owens and Orton completely hate the Bloodline. So that will lead us into Zayn and the Usos coming to help Orton and KO beat the new Bloodline members to cause them to lose the titles to Team RKO. Next, we will have the WWE Women's Championship match. It will be a triple threat match with the new champion, Tiffany Stratton, taking on the prior champion, Nia Jax, and Charlotte Flair. Well, the plan here, I think this time, is that Nia is going to hold on until after the Elimination Chamber, which Charlotte Flair will win to earn the right to challenge Nia at WrestleMania. But finally, after many months of partnership, Tiffany's going to turn on Nia and steal that title with the Money in the Bank cash-in. But Nia's still going to want her revenge, so she's going to weasel her way back into this championship match and make it a triple threat match. So that takes us to the semi-main event of WrestleMania. So this time it will be Roman Reigns against Solo Sikoa for the right to be the true head of the table in tribal combat. We've seen Reigns have that type of match before against Jey Uso. Now this will really be for that title here for these two to battle one last time to see whether the original bloodline or the new bloodline will come out on top. But that takes us finally to the main event, and it will be your undisputed WWE Champion Cody Rhodes somehow staving off the bloodline for an entire year against the final boss, The Rock. Well, The Rock said he was going to come back for him whether or not Cody has the championship, but it just wouldn't be right for Cody to not have the championship. So whatever it takes, Reigns is not going to be the one to face Rhodes yet again, but we'll get it back into the place where we always kind of expected it to go. It will be The Rock challenging Rhodes in Night 2's main event. Well, there you have it. That is our full WrestleMania predictions post SummerSlam. We've got a long way to go until we get to WrestleMania, so I'm sure many things will change, but this is a pretty compelling lineup if you ask me. Well, I'm the SportsZu, and this has been the OK Not OK podcast.